This might just be the single biggest patch we have seen in the past year, as there are 29 unique champions being adjusted, along with 9 system changes related to items and runes. So patch 26.3 is going to be live this upcoming Wednesday, February 4th, so let's get you guys up to speed with everything that you need to know. And in order to stay ahead of the meta for Season 16, Skill Capped is going to be the place to be. We have got a new course for this year that our Challenger players are going to be working on, and it revolves around keeping you up to date with all the new meta trends. As soon as we discover something new, you can expect a video to go live within that course, breaking down exactly what we found. Whether it be a new build, a new strategy, or rune setup, Skill Cap subscribers are going to be the first to know with access to this course. And on top of this, we've got our weekly commentaries where our Challenger experts walk you through how to carry out of the exact rank that you are stuck in. And we always upload 10 brand new commentaries every single week, focused on covering the best champions in the meta. And then of course, you're going to get access to our entire catalog of premium courses as well. You're going to be mastering wave control in those, vision, trading, and macro in no time. And the best part about all of this is that we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee. And what that means is you climb at least 5 divisions while actively using Skill Cap, or you can get your money back and we don't even ask questions. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the top right corner of the screen or in the description below to get ahead of everyone else for Season 16. So let's start off today's video by looking at the item and rune changes, as first up, we've got a buff to the newest mage item, Actualizer. Actualizer is going to have its cost lowered from 3,100 to 2,800 gold. Now, Rise was the only champion buying Actualizer at a high rate in 26.2, so with this buff, the item may now be a viable pickup on champs like Cassiopeia and Vigar. The most OP rune for ADCs in Season 16 is getting a nerf, as Cashback is going to have its gold refund on legendary purchase lowered from 8 to 7.5%. Now, Triple Tonic is usually taken in tandem with Cashback, and it's going to be nerfed as well, with the Elixir of Force adaptive damage going down from 30 to 25. Phase Rush is going to receive a few nerfs, with the ranged champion effectiveness dropping from 75 to 50%. Bonus movement speed is heavily nerfed, dropping from 18.75 scaling to 37.5% to 12.5 scaling to 25%. The Tier 3 upgrade for Merc Treads and Steel Caps that mid laners have access to on role quest completion will be nerfed, with the shield that you receive getting nerfed by around 30%. The resist that turrets gain as you take turret plates is being changed from 20 scaling to 100 per plate to 30 scaling to 50 per plate. So later in the game, it's now going to be easier to take down towers, but earlier, it's going to be harder. Champion bounties are being tuned once again so that the devaluation rate is going from 1 per 2.5 gold given out to 1 per 3.5 gold given out. Revaluation rate is being changed for farming from 1 per 5 gold earned to 1 per 7 gold earned. Dusk and Dawn has been the most talked about new item for Season 16, as it's turned out to be a phenomenal pickup on a wide variety of champs. So Riot's going to be shifting around some strength on the item for 26.3. Health is going to go up from 300 to 350, but the Spellblade passive AD ratio is dropping from 100 to 75%. So it's going to be less damage in exchange for more tankiness, which likely lands as a slight net nerf, but we're going to have to see once the changes go live. Endless Hunger is going to have its cost increased from 3,000 to 3,100 gold. A longsword is going to be added to the recipe, while the AD is being increased from 60 to 65. So in terms of gold, this is definitely going to be a buff, because 5 AD has a gold value of 175, while the cost of the item is only going up by 100 gold. The new tank item Protoplasm Harness is being adjusted so that its ability haste is up from 15 to 20. Bonus health increase on passive proc is going from 200 flat to 200 scaling to 300. And then health resist ratios are dropping from 250 to 175%. So champs that have the ability to stack a ton of resist won't be performing as well with the item as someone like Rammus, who was really liking the fact that the resist ratio is so high because his W synergized so well with it. Now let's move on to all of the champion buffs. First up is Ahri, with her W cooldown being lowered from 10 scaling to 6 seconds to 9 scaling to 5 seconds. Bel'Veth is going to receive 2 buffs, with her health growth going from 99 to 105, and R on hit damage is going up at rank 2 and rank 3 in the spell. Briar is going to be issued a few base stat changes, with her health growth going from 95 to 100, armor growth is up from 4.2 to 4.5, and her health cost on ability use is being reduced from 6 to 5% current health. Draven is going to receive a buff to his AD growth, as it's going up from 3 to 3.4. Ezreal has settled out as the lowest win rate ADC to start Season 16, so a few buffs are on the way, with his AD growth going up from 3.25 to 3.75, and E bonus AD ratio sees a boost going from 50 to 60%. Hecarim is going to be gaining 20 additional damage on his Q when you get it fully maxed out. Q bonus damage ramp is going down though from 4% per 100 bonus bonus AD to 3% per 100 bonus AD. Now, Riot has stated that these changes will be buffs up until Hecarim gets 225 bonus AD, so in other words, it is a net buff overall. Heimerdinger is going to receive some additional health, with growth being increased from 101 to 105. W first rocket base damage is being increased from 40 scaling to 140 to 50 scaling to 150. Kayn is getting a damage buff to his Q, with the base being increased from 75 scaling to 175 to 75 scaling to 195. Maokai will be getting some damage added to his Q, with the base being increased by 10 at all ranks. Jungle Nefiri is going to be buffed for this patch, with her passive monster damage amp going up from 135 to 155%. Now, Riot did overshoot a bit with the new nerfs last patch, so they're buffing him back up for 26.3, with W max damage going up from 150 scaling to 335 to 180 scaling to 360. E base damage per hit is up as well, from 14 scaling to 42 to 15 scaling to 45. Trundle is going to be issued some base stat buffs for this patch, with his armor growth going up from 3.9 to 4.5, and AD growth is up from 4 to 4.5. Tryndamere is next up for a buff, with his AD growth being increased from 4 to 4.5. Some Vi buffs are on the way, with her health growth being increased from 99 to 105, and AD growth is going up from 3 to 3.5. Riot has two buffs planned for Xin Zhao, with his passive max health heal going from 3 scaling to 4% to 3 scaling to 5%. E bonus attack speed is up as well, from 40 scaling to 60% to 40 scaling to 80%. Yone is going to receive a small scaling buff to his Q damage, with the AD ratio being increased from 105% to 110%. Riot wants to see Zhin succeed more as a jungler, so they're buffing his Q monster damage going from 175 to 200%, and E bonus monster damage is up from 50 to 75. Braum has started off Season 16 as the best support for solo Q, so Riot has a few nerfs lined up for him, with his base health going down from 630 to 610, and Q base damage is dropping from 75 scaling to 275 to 75 scaling to 255. Diana Jungle is going to be nerfed significantly for this patch, with her passive damage to monsters dropping from 280 to 230%. Echo is going to receive a damage nerf to his passive, with the AP ratio going down from 90 to 80%, while passive damage to monsters is dropping from 300 to 270%. Neela has been the highest win rate ADC to kick off the new season, so a couple of nerfs are headed her way, with the base AD dropping from 60 to 58 and armor growth being reduced from 4.5 to 4.2. Riven has been one of the best top laners to start the year, so her passive total AD ratio is nerfed, going from 30 scaling to 50% to 30 scaling to 45%. Q bonus AD ratio is going down as well, from 65 scaling to 85% to 60 scaling to 80%. Ryze has been dominating the higher tiers of play to start the season off in Season 16, so his W damage is getting nerfed, with the AP ratio dropping from 70 to 60% and bonus mana scaling being lowered from 4 to 3%. AP Varus is going to become weaker for this patch, as his armor growth is dropping from 4.6 to 4. W on hit AP ratio is being reduced from 35 to 25%, while W max health AP ratio is going down from 1.5% per 100 AP to 1.3% per 100 AP. We've got a few nerfs to Volibear on the way, with his Q base damage being lowered from 10 scaling to 90 to 10 scaling to 50. Q bonus AD ratio is going up though, from 120 to 140%. E cooldown is going to be increased from 14 to 16 seconds, and then E non-champion damage cap is being lowered from 190 scaling to 650 to 150 scaling to 610. Zed Jungle is being hit with a massive nerf, as his passive monster damage amp is dropping from 120 to 50%. Passive epic monster damage cap is going down as well, from 300 to 100. Jace is going to receive a bunch of adjustments, with his melee Q base damage going up from 60 scaling to 285 to 60 scaling to 310. Ranged Q damage is being lowered from 80 scaling to 310 to 80 scaling to 285. Ranged Q bonus AD ratio is down as well, from 140 to 130%. Q bonus monster damage is going down from 25 to 10, and R cannon armor and magic resist shred is going up from 10 scaling to 25% to 20 scaling to 35%. And then lastly, to round out the video, we have a load of changes to cover for Mel. First up, her attack speed ratio is being increased from 0.4 to 0.625. Passive overwhelm projectile damage is going down from 8 scaling to 50 to 8 scaling to 25, while AP ratio is lowered from 5 to 3%. Q cast time is up from 0.25 to 0.4 seconds. Q projectile speed is down from 4,500 to 3,800. Q explosion radius is being lowered from 230 to 200. Q area spread is dropping from 30 to 25. Q damage type is being changed to a damage over time AoE, which means Mel won't be able to reset Comet as quickly Specifically, Q channel time is going down from 0.75 to 0.5 seconds. Q mana cost is down from 70 scaling to 110 to 70 scaling to 90. Q minion damage is up from 75 to 100%. Q is being changed so that it's now going to deal more damage the first time the explosion hits and reduce damage for subsequent hits. So Q changes were pretty dang big, but W changes are the massive ones. W will no longer provide damage immunity, but instead you'll now gain a shield. The decaying movement speed of W is up from 30 to 40%. Decaying movement speed is being increased from 0.75 to 1.5 seconds. So with Mel W no longer granting damage immunity, it's going to make killing her in the late game so much easier now. We have a bunch of E changes though as well, with the root missile radius going down from 80 to 70. E end of travel linger duration is down from 0.5 to 0.25 seconds. E damage over time radius is dropping from 260 to 230. E cast range is down from 1050 to 1000. E projectile speed is up though from 1000 to 1100. E root duration is going up from 1 scaling to 1.5 seconds to now 1.5 seconds flat at all ranks. E damage is going up from 60 scaling to 220 to 60 scaling to 240, and then E damage over time is being increased as well from 16 scaling to 56 to 16 scaling to 64. So how exactly Mel lands power-wise as a result of all of these changes is really anyone's guess, but in the long term, the change to W should make her a lot easier to balance and much less frustrating to play against, so positive changes as a whole, even if she ends up in a temporarily weaker state in the process. Now, if Mel does lose win rate because of these changes, then we're pretty certain Riot's going to buff her up in 26.4. Okay guys, one last thing. Our rank up guarantee is absolutely insane. It's